Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday morning, March 22nd. Spring officially began late Monday afternoon, but there are some more cold air outbreaks destined to reach the central and eastern states going right into the first week of April. We'll talk about that over the next couple of minutes. There's a storm system right now impacting the western part of the U.S. All kinds of watches and warnings out across the western states. Some accumulating snow continues this morning across the higher elevations of California and certainly the Rocky Mountain states. That system travels all the way across the country and has an impact on the upper Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast by the upcoming weekend. It looks like there could be some accumulating snow in places like northern half of Michigan, maybe Wisconsin, and then beyond that in the northern part of New England over the upcoming weekend. Well, mentioned cold air outbreaks are not done with the central and eastern U.S. It looks like that threat will continue right into April, certainly through the first week of the month of April. Let's take a look here at the Canadian model run from last night at 0Z. This is the ensemble version in terms of 500 millibar height anomalies going forward. We begin the day here on a Wednesday, the 22nd of March, and once again we see this high pressure ridging over the southern states, and indeed it has turned milder in the eastern half of the nation after a cold spell, and we've had this disappear for a while, but it has made a return here in the beginning stages of spring. Notice also there's still some higher heights than normal up across Greenland and the northern part of Canada. There's still some reflection of that high latitude blocking, and that is one of the reasons why we are not done yet with the cold air outbreaks into the central and eastern U.S. Let's move forward here using the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps. Here we go by tomorrow morning. Again, strong high pressure ridging sitting right on top of the southeastern states, mild throughout the eastern U.S., as has been the case with many warm-ups in the mid-Atlantic and the northeast U.S. This warm-up will become accompanied by some shower activity. Showers certainly a threat in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, as it turns cooler with that incoming storm system. Let's move forward here, and we'll see that this upper level ridge does kind of disappear once again. Meanwhile, we still have signs of high latitude blocking across northern Canada. What is happening here is because of this high latitude blocking that is persistent, this is all the way into the end of the upcoming week, and we kind of have a jet stream undercutting that high, and that is allowing for some penetration of cold air masses into the northern U.S., not only into the latter part of the weekend, but beyond that, really into the first week of April. Here we go now all the way out to the middle of next week. This is a week from right now. Still, some reflection of that higher heights than normal over Greenland, northern Canada, and jet kind of undercutting that. And the upper level ridge over the southern U.S. at this time kind of retrogrades back to Texas and the northern part of Mexico. Go out a little bit farther in time towards the end of next week. Here we are on Friday, the end of next week, March 31st, the end of the month of March. Notice again that high level ridge pops up again down across the southeastern states. Go out a little bit farther in time, and it tends to get squashed again all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Here we are now, Sunday, April 2nd. Again, still some reflection of that high latitude blocking over Greenland and a kind of an undercutting of the jet stream beneath that upper level ridge to the north. And again, this will allow for some more cold air outbreaks to make their way into the central and eastern U.S. Well, let's in fact take a look at how that height pattern of 500 millibars affects temperatures. We're looking at now 5-day average 850 millibar temperature anomalies. This is the current 5-day period we're in, and it's dominated by warmer than normal conditions across the eastern part of the nation. Again, this is today, tomorrow, the next day, and then the following 2 days. The current 5-day period we're in terms of 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Again, using the ensemble run of the Canadian model from 0Z last night. Notice on the western U.S., not only stormy pattern over the last several weeks, but colder than normal in much of the western U.S. over the past several weeks. And again, more snowfall for those higher elevations of California and the Rocky Mountain states in this pattern. Now, let's move forward again in 5-day increments here. This is now days 2 to 6, which is centered on March 23rd to March 28th. Go out a little bit farther in time and notice this area here kind of starting to fade away here, and the colder than normal air is starting to push into the east, to the east at this particular time. And here we are now all the way at days 5 to 9 and days 6 to 10 here, March 22nd, 7th, all the way to April 1st. This is now going into the beginning stage of the month of April. Look at this pattern here. It's pretty impressively widespread in terms of colder than normal conditions, not only in the western U.S., but across much of the northern U.S. as well, even down into the southern states, some reflection of a 5-day mean with below normal temperatures. Go out a little bit farther in time, days 7 to 11, 8 to 12, and all the way to 9 to 10. We'll go out even farther in time. And here we are now, all the way out to April 1st to April 6th, that first week of the month of April. Colder than normal continues out in the west and across much of Canada and across much of the northern U.S. Again, remember, this is an ensemble run, tends to smooth things out as you advance in time. Climatology plays more and more of a role, which helps to smooth things out. So this is pretty impressive indeed to see this, even the light blue here this far out, days 11 to 15, that very first week of the month of April. Well, let's wrap up by looking at the operational run of the Canadian model from 0Z last night, the surface forecast maps. And here we go, out west, another storm system, California, snows over those higher elevations of the Sierra Nevada mountains in eastern California, and significant snow for some of those ski resorts out in the Rocky Mountain states. A lot of snow for those higher elevations, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, all the way down to Arizona. And this California system ends up moving all the way across the country here. We'll see here by the time we get to tomorrow morning, some reflection of it starting to show up here in the central part of the nation. And this is the system we've been alluding to over the past couple of videos here. This is the potential for some heavy rainfall. This is the forecast map for midday Friday, March 24th. And again, that California system kind of spawning this low over the central U.S. This has the potential to put down some soaking rainfall amounts all the way from the mid-Atlantic region into the south central states. It's really associated with a warm front to the east of that low pressure center and a cold front going all the way down to the south and west of the low pressure center. We'll go out a little farther in time, and this becomes, again, a very vigorous system here by the time we get to late Friday night, early Saturday morning. Now notice here we have cold high pressure southeastern Canada. That is pushing some cold air up across New England. And by the time we start the upcoming weekend, and that'll play a vital role. We'll see in a moment here. Here we go now by Saturday morning. And again, this could become a decent snowstorm for parts of Wisconsin, maybe parts of Michigan as well. Right here, it really takes off at this particular time, midday on Saturday. Again, accumulating snow possible. Parts of Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe down to Illinois as well. Remember that cold air kind of locked into place by that Canadian high pressure system over New England. Indeed, this ends up with possibility of accumulating snow over the weekend, upstate New York, interior part of New England, and again, the upper part of the Midwest. Quite a healthy storm system by the time we get to Sunday, colder, drier, filters in behind it into the mid-Atlantic region. So after the threat of showers on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, it should dry out to close out the weekend after the passage of a frontal system associated with this storm system. This is the forecast map for Sunday morning. A healthy snowstorm is possible, places like Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, all the way into the southeastern part of Canada. So indeed, there are additional cold air outbreaks coming into the northern U.S. It looks like that pattern will continue at least through the first week of the month of April. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.